Never sleep again.
Are you afraid of the things that go bump in the night? Do you feel like a zombie after a long night of tossing and turning? Well, then try Dream from LifeWise. Just one tab daily before bed will leave you feeling rested and refreshed every morning. That's right, Dream from LifeWise. Just one simple tab placed on your tongue, it dissolves and lets you drift into dreamland. Text Moose Dream to 754-600-9473 to get you started with your free samples today.
This is a warning to all living mortals. Moose will release 13 of the most terrifying interviews of horror onto the world.
Welcome back to the 13th Horror-fying Day of Christmas. I'm your host and gift giver Moose, and not only is this the 13th Day of Christmas, this is also the season 6 premiere of Moose's Monster Mash, and couldn't have a better guest with us today. From Super Freddy to the source of all evil, multiple character actor, please welcome Mr. Michael Bailey Smith.
Hey, Paul, it's great meeting you. Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show. Let's do it, man. I'm ready.
You know, you've run an interesting gambit in life. You know, I mean, you started out military brat, and then military route.
Yep.
And then was it football?
Yeah. So I grew up as an Air Force brat, and my dad. We didn't spend more than maybe 2 to 3 years at any one place, and everything from Michigan to California to Nevada to actually my last little stint with the family was in Iran, Tehran, back in the 70s when the U.S. was got along, and the Shah Reza Pahlavi was still running the show, and there wasn't the Ayatollah hadn't come in and did all his craziness, and so so that's it was a great life. It really formed a tight knit family between us 6 kids. I'm the oldest of 6. So that was kind of nice. We always stick together, especially when we went overseas, because you're in a city called Tehran, which is a town of 1 million people, but it was a huge dichotomy and almost a conflict between, the Shah trying to push Iran into the 20th century. And then you have all these people that are very, I guess, what's the word? Like very religious, and no, we can't do it. We got to go back to the old way and things like that. And that's where a lot of the conflict came from. So then you got a bunch of these Americans over there, either working, their parents were working as, American advisors to the Iranian Air Force, or, there was like Westinghouse and Bell Helicopter and, all these other kind of civilian companies working there as well, helping, get Iran to the 20th century. So there's a lot of conflict. And, when you got a bunch of teenagers running around in Tehran doing American things in a very Islamic country, there could be some conflicts. And there's been some crazy stories we could go on for hours about, just me being the oldest. And, like my first week, I had a knife pulled on me, stuck in my face, just craziness right at the beginning. I'm 16 years old, I think, at the time. So yeah, but it was a great experience. But believe it or not, where I lived in Tehran, I went to Tehran American School, which is a pretty famous high school. My superintendent was one of the 50 American hostages, and that'll pay off later on in my story. But but they had the school was big enough. They tried to make it as Americanized as possible. Had a lot of American things. There were some like rich Iranians that would go to that school, but they had football teams, and they had 3. The school was big enough to have 3 football teams. Plus, they had a community school, which was half and half Iranians and half Americans. And so there's 4 teams. So you played each other twice. So you had pretty good season, all-star game, and I was pretty good athlete by the time I was a junior and senior. And one of the coaches that was coaching with me, that coached me, said, "Hey, you have the ability to play college football," and that kind of stuck in my head. And that's something I've always wanted to do. And so I made the all-star team and all those things like that. But when I got done with high school, I went to my parents and said, hey, I want to go to college. Well, they couldn't afford to do it. And so I got a job working with Westinghouse, helping them build defense radars. I did it for 9 months. And back in the day, I think it's still today, if you work overseas, it's tax-free. So, I made some money over there, about almost $20,000 in about 9 months, which is not too bad.
Jeez.
I got paid $17.50 an hour in 76, 77, which is pretty good.
So even today, by today's standards, that's good money.
Yeah, it was really good. But it was hard work. We were working on top of this mountain called Kairaj Mountain. Crazy. I could tell you some crazy stories. We got snowed in one time to where we had to walk down the mountain. And one of the engineers I was just a laborer digging ditches and running cable and building defense radomes and things like that. I was always crazy. I would hang off of the big crane to put in these big panels and had like a big power drill to screw the things in. And I would hang on with one hand, 100 feet up. To put these things, I was pretty crazy. But anyway, so when I finished that, I saved the money for school. And then my dad says, you should, probably go in the military because they get the GI Bill and they can help you go through college if you want to play college football. So they threw me on a plane, a military plane. It was going to Frankfurt, Germany. So I went up there and enlisted. And I first wanted to be an Army Ranger, and they looked at me and said, "You're 6'4", 160 pounds. That's not going to happen. So you could be a paratrooper if you put some more weight on." And so I selected that, and so I went back. I went to the U.S. and went into basic training at 6'4", 160 pounds. And by the time I got out, basic I put on probably 10 or 20 pounds. But I went through AIT, which is advanced school. Did that, and by the time I got to the 82nd, I got assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division as a paratrooper, and I was about probably 200 by then. But by the time I left in 3 years, I was 240, and pretty fast. And a chaplain in my unit played at Kansas State. It's an All-American. His name is Captain Gimble, and he said to me, "Hey, I heard you want to play football." I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Let me make some phone calls." So I was all set. He made some connections, and I was all set to go to Notre Dame. And, I didn't know the gravity of going to Notre Dame. I just wanted to play college football. Then about a month later, he calls me back in his office. He goes, if you play there, Notre Dame is probably going to ride the bench for a while before you get to play. He goes, "Where are you from?" I said, "Well, I'm from Michigan. That's where I was born." And he says, "Let me poke around a little bit." And he goes, he called me back another week later, and he goes, "Well, Eastern Michigan hasn't won a game in a year. They need some help." And I talked to the head coach, and they'd love to see you. And so I took some leave, and I remember standing in the hallway at Eastern Michigan, the athletic department there, waiting to go walk in and talk to the head coach. And I'm standing there at parade rest and standing with my military haircut. And this old offensive line coach walked by, and he goes, "Hey, you that paratrooper?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "I need a center. You want to play center?" I said, "I'll play anything, sir." And that's how it started. So I started out at center, went to guard, went to tackle, became preseason All-American, Playboy All-American, and then went to the Dallas Cowboys and blew my knee out there. I heard it senior year, but blew it out in camp, and they got let go. And then I found myself, I ended up graduating from college in a computer science degree, then chased a girl out to San Diego, and that didn't last very long. It lasted about a month. And I befriended this guy named Steve Hedderberry, who's still to this day a good friend of mine. And he later became an American Gladiator. And he and I got into bodybuilding pretty heavily, and it was pretty fun, and especially in California. And he was Mr. Wisconsin and Mr. All-American and all those things like that. He was Mr. Universe or something. Big dude, bigger than me. I'm 6'4". He was probably 6'5", just a bigger dude. Yeah. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to Los Angeles to read for this movie called Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. Why don't you come with me? Maybe you can read too." And at the time, I was working at Xerox debugging software, working in a cubicle. And I have a lot of respect for people that can work in cubicles because I couldn't, staring at that all day. And so I went and asked my boss. I was debugging software, and I asked her, "Hey, can I take the day off? I'm going to go up to Los Angeles." She goes, "No, you can't." And I said, "Well, I'm going to take it off anyway." And she goes, "Well, you're fired." I said, "Okay, that's fine." So I got to the car, and we drove up to Los Angeles, right there in Hollywood and Vine. And I could see the Brown Derby. I could see the Hollywood sign. I saw the Walk of Fame. And I was mesmerized. This kid who's, been all over the world, been to small towns, and now I'm in Tinseltown, right? The place where everybody dreams to be. So he went in to read, and then there was no material to read for. You just go in and you meet the director, and and they're looking for big dudes, and I didn't really know what the role was. It's this for someone to play a bigger version of Freddy Krueger, and I didn't know if that meant you're just going to stand there or whatever. And so I went in, and this guy's named Stephen Hopkins. He's like, "So, Michael, have you seen some of those Freddy Krueger movies?" And I said, "Of course." He goes, "I need someone that's big and scary, can laugh like him. Can you do that?" And I said, "I can try." So I let this big laugh. He goes, "That's fucking awesome. Guess what? You got yourself a job." I'm like, "What? What?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "In a couple of weeks, you'll be on the set with Robert Englund." I'm like, "What? Wait a minute." So next thing you know, 2 weeks later, I'm on the set with Robert Englund, sitting in his trailer, talking to him about Freddy Krueger and just talking about life. And next thing you know, that I had the prosthetics put on me. They put on a bigger, they put his prosthetics and then added pieces because my head's bigger than his, and then made a whole outfit, for me, and the glove and the hat. And I had 3 lines: faster than a bastard maniac, more powerful than local madman, it's Super Freddy. And I was scared shitless the whole time. I had lined up across from Randy White, Too Tall Jones, the Dallas Cowboys, everybody and their brother. But that, having some little director go, "Action! Holy crap, I got to walk and talk at the same time." But it really got me into this is what I wanted to do. And then from there, I moved up to Los Angeles, slept in my car for a few days until I got an apartment. Slept on the floor in this weird dude's apartment for about a month or two until I got my own place. And every night I was taking acting classes, scene study and cold reading and audition technique and improv. And I did everything because I wanted to learn the craft of acting, and I didn't want to be scared of getting in front of people. And I love when people tell me that I suck or you're not good enough or something like that, because
it's motivation.
I want to prove them wrong. And that's what I did. So most actors, when they, when they start out and things like that, they work at a diner or a bar or whatever at night, making ends meet. For me, because my degree was in computer science, I worked at a test laboratory, testing consumer products and consumer computer products, laptops and operating systems and peripherals and all these different things. And this is when, when it was the age of the computer, when we went from mainframe stuff to more PC-driven laptops and things like that. Windows just started coming out because they was all DOS-based, command line-based, to being DOS type, and plug and play. And then for the first 10 years, I worked as a contractor for this company. But as a contractor, I could take off an audition, or go off and do a movie or whatever, and I'd come back and I still have my job. And then so at the beginning of my career, I wasn't very good and maybe got a couple parts, got a commercial here or there, just me being a big guy in a Budweiser commercial. But then things started clicking where I become more comfortable, understood how to build character and those things like that, and through lines. And I started booking role after role.
Looks like it took about 3 years for Hollywood to say, "Hey, this is the guy."
Yeah, agreed. So that's about how much it took. It took, in between those times, I did a piece here, a piece there. I did when HBO had these little commercials sometime, I did a little vignette for them, or I just did different things. I remember one time this is crazy. A couple things I'll tell you. So at one time, my manager, my first manager was gay, and he would, and I'm not gay, but he was, and that's cool. He worked hard for me, but once he goes, "Hey, do you need some extra money?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I do." He goes, "Well, and down in West Hollywood is one of the largest, gay communities in the country, and they have this bar down there, and I forgot this famous bar. I forgot the name of it. But he had me go down there, dressed as a lifeguard, sit in a lifeguard tower in front of the bar. It was beach night. Oh my gosh, I was hit on so much in my entire life, and I was like, and people go, "Hey, you want a date?" I'm like, "I'm not gay, dude." And he goes, "What are you doing up here?" They got pissed at me. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just making $500 tonight. That's all.
I was just paid to be here.
I know. So, but anyway, so I did everything possible. I walked around one time at a premiere in a monster suit, I just did. I also, it's funny. I did dating game shows. I did dating game shows to get used to be in front of the camera, and I did 3 of them. Yeah, so I won one. It was funny though. It was the plot was older women and younger guys, and the woman who was the woman, she was like in her, the time I think she's probably in her 50s. You know, I'm in my 30s. She was a casting director, which I knew. I had read for her before. So it's funny. And because once I won it, we met in the back, and she goes, I have no intention to date you. I said, neither do I. But thank you so much. I hope you can hire me. So someday.
Like,
but,
just remember this interaction. Give me a job.
Yeah, agreed. But that's what I did. During that time, I did everything possible to get comfortable in front of a camera, and and so then I think the first TV show I did. So after I did Nightmare on Elm Street, I think the first TV show was it the TV show? I did a movie for PM Entertainment. It was called CIA Codename Alexa with Lorenzo Lamas, O.J. Simpson before he killed his wife, and Kathleen Kenmont. And they hired me just to fight Lorenzo Lamas. But on these low budgets, sometimes the writer was there, and the director goes to writer, hey, write him a couple lines. So I did, and I said it, and he goes, hey, you're pretty good. Next thing you know, I'm the 4th lead in the film. And it was great. It was fantastic. So they had a premiere for it and everything like that. It was pretty cool. And then I just thought that's how Hollywood was. And then I think I
say a little foreshadowing here. That for you, that's kind of how Hollywood is.
Yep.
I mean, as we get to your career later, that's kind of how your career plays out. I mean, you know, you get to all right, we're going to do this. Hey, we got this for you too. Or, hey, do this.
Well, I mean, to tell you the truth, at Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, playing Super Freddy, I'm standing there on the set watching how movies are being made before I have to go up and do a scene. I had a few hours, and I'm standing there, and the casting director and the director are looking at me, and they're talking, looking at me. And then the director walks over and goes, "Hey, Michael, we're thinking about using you for a love scene." I'm like, Super Freddy? And they go, "No. So this is called Dream Child, and there needs to be, the star, the female, she's going to get pregnant and have a baby, and there needs to be that interaction. And so we need a body double for the lead." And that's who I know. It's a friend of mine now, Danny Hassel. And so, and I said, "And you want me to do this?" He goes, "Yeah." "And you're going to pay me?" I said, "Of course." I said, hell yeah, I'll do it. So after, that's what I'm talking about. I got offered this other thing. And so
wait a minute. Hold on.
I was the body double at the beginning of the movie. When the movie opens up, there's 2 bodies breathing in a bed and sweaty. That's me. Yeah. With a body double for the lead actress. So yeah.
See, now that's crazy. 'Cause like, I know Danny.
Yeah. Good guy. Yeah.
Like I've hung out and things that not necessarily talk about on a podcast with Danny.
Yeah. But good dude. Anyway, so yeah, that did that, and then so my whole career has been like that, where if you do good work, if you're a good dude, and this is kind of like it's been how I've lived my life, and it's from my father who's always taught me, that if you're gonna do something, do it right the first time. And another thing too, he always said, just do a little bit more than you're asked. Because if you do that, then, good things will happen. Because, which I learned through life, is that the reason why in the dictionary, the word average is in that dictionary is because most people are average. They'll do average work. They'll have an average job, live an average life. And some people are happy with that. But if you do just a little bit more, not brown nose, not kiss that, just a little bit more, do a little bit better than you're asked, you will stand out and things will happen for you. You will get noticed. You'll get promoted. Other opportunities will open up. I draw the analogy to when I was with the Cowboys. When they brought me there, they didn't want to make this team the same or worse. They brought me in there to help them win the Super Bowl. The same thing if you go get a job somewhere, working at Wendy's or whatever it is, or on a movie set. do a little bit better, do a little bit more than you're asked. And if you do that, you will get noticed. And that's what happened to me and throughout my life, but definitely in Hollywood. I always try to do, I just always try to do a great job, always prepared, always, I never took anything for granted. I treated it as a business. It's not show friends, it's show business. And that's how it is. And a lot of people don't. They come there and think it's a joke or whatever. And you'll work once in your life and you'll never work again. Same thing with auditioning. And so then I started working after I did Seaon Coding Alexa. I got the opportunity. I was actually doing, it's not on my IMDb is wrong order wise, but I did a TV show called Renegade with Lorenzo again, right after that. And while I was doing that, I got to read. My manager called me. Now I had another manager by this time, and she said, "Hey, I have a audition for this movie called Fantastic Four." And so I went to Roger Corman's. I didn't know anything about Roger Corman or anything about this. I'm just going to read for a movie. And I was reading for Ben Grimm. The thing. It's clobbering time. So that guy. So I ended up getting it. And then we all know the whole story of behind that and how it got shelved and all the politics behind it. But then it just went from there. Then I did my first sitcom ever was with TV show Murphy Brown. I got to play her secretary. And here's another example. So, and you learn this when you're doing TV. TV, especially sitcoms, are timed to even anything that's on TV is timed to the second because they have to cut commercials in there. Like a half an hour TV show, like a sitcom. They have 20 minutes of TV show and 10 minutes of commercials. Pretty much how it works out. It has to be the second. You can't add. You have to stick to the script. All those things like that. But what happened, because I did a really good job at the beginning of the intro with me and Candice Bergen, is that they actually, because this one actor who was this older guy, he got sick, he couldn't make it. They wrote an extra scene for me. And that is incredible. So that's what I'm talking about. Just these things happen. If you do good work and you try to and you work on being a great guy and easy to work with and just to freaking, you want people to say, dude, that freaking guy's awesome or that gal's awesome. And that's, you have to just be that kind of, everybody can be like that.
Well, you want to be memorable in a good way.
Agreed. Not to be an asshole. So, yeah. And, it's funny. Sometimes I'll Google myself, Michael Blair Smith asshole, to see if it pops up. But it doesn't. So, so anyway, but yeah, so that's just how it started. And then I started doing more movies and more TV shows and all that. And I did it for 30 years. So it was, I had a great ride.
Well, yeah. In the process, you've managed to become, for a guy your size, becoming a character actor that's taken on as many characters as you have, that have been so vastly different. Yeah, agreed. I've done sitcoms, with Dana Carvey, Master of Disguise with him. I've done action films with Jean-Claude Van Damme, or I've done action drama films with like Undisputed with Ving Rhames, Wesley Snipes, other types of movies that I've done. I've done other comedies, My Favorite Martian, Town and Country. I've done all types of things, even like Town and Country, big film with so many different, with Warren Beatty and Goldie Hawn and Diane Keaton and Charlton Heston. I mean, all of these great actors in it, and I'm in it, right? And I actually read for a role. This is when I think it was in the 90s. I read for a role that it had dialogue. I didn't get it, but they said, "Hey, will you just come up here? We love your look. We love you to be in this movie." I said, "Okay." I talked to the manager about it. Well, the guy they hired to have the dialogue was terrible. And so the director goes, "Hey, Michael, come here and say this line." And I said it. He goes, "Perfect." And next thing you know, I got his role and I'm doing this whole thing. That's what I'm talking about sometimes. The things, if you do good work and if you're a good dude, good things will happen, period. It doesn't matter what you are doing. If you're digging a ditch, dig the best ditch in the world. And I've done a lot of ditch digging. So I know. So yeah, just what you got to do. Good stuff. No, absolutely. Because where I was going with it is like a lot of times, guys your size, you find yourself stuck in that thug or thug 2 or
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And I've done those.
you get typecast as just the big like hulking person, but like if you look through your list, yes, the characters are all big guys, but they're all uniquely different. I mean, Super Freddy, Ben Grimm,
Yep.
Pluto, Papa Hades,
Yep.
the four characters from Charmed. I mean, just everybody. You can
Yep.
pull them all out, and if you didn't know they were all played by the same person, you wouldn't know, and that's what makes it cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've definitely been blessed. I mean, I don't know, man. But it's funny when I first started acting, I was, I'll disclose something. I had to repeat my fifth grade, and my mom said the reason why I repeat my fifth grade is because they were just passing me because I was a nice guy, a nice boy. And my mom says, well, he's not learning anything. And they said, well, you can hold him back if you want to. So my mom did. I was in the same school, so all my classmates that I was with originally in my fourth grade or fifth grade, they went to sixth. Well, guess what? I'm in fifth grade still, and they called me, that I'm a dummy and I'm stupid and things like that. So that kind of stuck with me for a long time. To this day, it's still like that. I always feel intellectually, inferior to most, and that's probably the reason why I work a lot harder than most because of that. Be informed as much as I do. Tons of research to make sure that when I'm going to say something, I don't sound like an idiot. So, but yeah, that's how it was when I first started acting. I didn't want to play any kind of role that made me come off like a dummy, like someone that was stupid. And then I remember my acting coach, same Jeremiah Comey, great guy. He does like the Meisner technique. And it's really, really a great technique when it comes to acting. And it really gets you connected and related really quickly. But he yelled at me and like kind of grabbed me and said, you're an actor, right? Quit. This is not personal. Dump all this other crap that went off in your life and you're an actor. And that kind of shook me out of it. And then I started, like, if you look at like Pluto from The Hills Have Eyes, he was such a character in which he was incredibly vicious and would freaking tear your head off. Another time he was the most innocent little boy when he picked the baby up and, he was goo-goo and gaga with the little bit, kid, the baby, And it's funny, in real life, that baby liked me. So, because the babies don't understand what scary is, or what ugly is, right? They don't know what that is. They get taught those things later on. So anyway, so I just, you go through a big learning lesson when you're, as an actor, you grow as a human being. Like before, I used to be afraid to get up and talk to anyone. I remember when I was like team captain my senior year in college, I was supposed to get up and speak to boosters and I would just mumble and stumble the whole time. I was terrible. But when I wanted to be an actor, that's why I started doing these dating game shows. I had to talk in front of people. I had to be confident, and all these things like that, and kind of force myself to do that. So, yeah. Well,
it goes back to, if you want to do something and do it right, you have to apply yourself and you have to.
Yeah. And be willing to fail. I mean, I even call it failing. Just, it's either you're learning or you're winning or learning.
Right.
Because it's kind of like what I always say to myself. So, yeah. But, yeah. So good stuff. What else do you want to know?
Let's talk about The Hills Have Eyes 1 and 2.
Yep.
So when The Hills Have Eyes came out, it was right in that window of like I refer to it as like the 2000s remakes, like right when all the like badass remakes are coming out. I mean, like Dawn of the Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, The Hills Have Eyes came out. I mean, everything was coming out, and this one gets overlooked a lot. I mean, it's starting to come back a little bit more. But The Hills Have Eyes was amazing. Is amazing. It's darker and grittier than the original, which I think is great. And that's kind of what the 2000 remake era was. It kind of modernized everything. But it definitely brought like this new feel and a new audience to the franchise, and you get, we have you playing, Pluto, the character made popular by Michael Berryman, and, it's, what was like the filming and everything like that like for that movie?
It was really good. We shot this in Morocco, and I remember when I got this role, Alex Aja, the director, called me and said, "Hey, have you seen the original?" I said, "No, I have not. I was planning on watching." He goes, "Don't." He goes, "Listen, you are probably one of the very best bad guys there are in Hollywood. I need you to bring your special magic into this character. This character is totally different than what the original was. So I need you to bring your character to this, your special sauce." So I did. I never watched the first one, or nothing like that. So I just did it. And, when we filmed this in Morocco, you fly from Los Angeles to Paris, and then a smaller plane to Casablanca, and then in the northern part of Morocco. And therefore, you take another plane to Marrakesh, and Marrakesh to Ouarzazate. And Ouarzazate's like the southern part of Morocco, near the Sahara Desert, and it's pretty desolate. I mean, it's a town, and the hotel we stayed at was pretty nice. It's all single story hotel, very spread out, nice pool, good food and things like that, but hot. We shot it from June, July, and August, and so it was pretty hot. It was 100 to 120 every day. So that's how it was. It was like Vegas hot. You go out there in Vegas, it's the same thing. And so I mean, it kind of lends itself to doing all that. And so that's what I did. I brought my magic to it as much as I could. So that's what I did. It was fun. It was good. I knew I was doing a pretty good job. I could tell by the way the reactions that Alex was reacting to me and things like that. So good, great director. Him and his partner, I forgot his name, but great director. It was like a French and American crew, a lot of American producers, but like Marianne Magdalena, and which is done. She's Wes Craven's girl and things like that. They produced together a lot of things. So I got to meet Wes Craven. I met him at the premiere of Hills of Eyes. And it's funny, we had the premiere at the Cinerama Dome. I don't know if it's called that still in Hollywood. We had the premiere there, and we had an after party, and he walks up to me and goes, "Hey, Michael, great job on Hills of Eyes." I said, "Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it." And I said, "I don't know if you know this, but this is my second movie, Wes Craven movie." He goes, "What?" I said, "Yeah. Do you remember a character named Super Freddy and Nightmare on Elm Street?" He goes, "That's you. Oh my gosh." So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So good stuff.
Well, and that kind of lends back to the, you can do all these characters, and now, I mean, admittedly, Wes probably has no idea who is in his movies most of the time, so that doesn't really say a whole lot, but you can do these characters, and most people don't put two and two together, but it is also very cool that you started your career essentially on a whim in a Wes Craven film.
Yep.
And then fast forward many years, and you're in one of the biggest remakes, and it's another Wes Craven film. So I mean, it's very serendipitous. Yeah, it's definitely blessed. That's for sure. Definitely blessed. So yeah, all good stuff. Yeah, I don't take anything for granted. That's for sure. No matter, even in, I stepped away from acting in 2016. I still write quite a bit. I just have a screenplay just got optioned, which is really great. I'm really happy about that. But I'm in the business side, in the tech world. That job I had when I was an actor, I parlayed that into an actual career, and I just launched my own company about 5 months ago, and been very happy with that. And my wife's got a company which we're launching in a few weeks, which we're very, very happy about that as well. So exciting stuff. So yeah. Well, you definitely know how to keep busy. Try to. There's no
believe it or not, I don't sound like it, and my knees feel like it though. I just had one replaced, and the other one I probably need replaced pretty soon too. But I just turned 67 a few weeks ago, so yeah, so crazy. And Tony Todd just passed away.
Yeah,
a good friend of mine. So
yeah, condolences on that. That's
and he's 69, so he's only 2 years older than me.
Yeah, that was a big loss to the community and the world in general. I mean, he was a icon in the industry.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, Hills Have Eyes 2, wasn't that another one of those, you had essentially wrapped Hills Have Eyes, you were done, you were just kind of walking away, and they're like, hey, got something for you.
Yeah. So it had been like a few months. I was back in the States. I think it's probably been 6 months or something like that. Maybe like a year. I don't know for sure. But I went up to San Francisco. We went to take the family up there. That's now my ex-wife, but and my two boys. And we're driving back, and I got this call from Marianne Magdalena, the producer. She goes, "Hey, Michael, how you doing?" Oh, let me back up a little bit for that. So out of the blue, I get a call from, oh my gosh, I just saw him a couple weekends ago. He calls me and goes, "Hey, come to the hospital." I said, "What?" He goes, "I'm in the hospital right now. I'm getting some procedure done." He goes to the hospital, and I walk in his room, and he's like in a gown, and he throws me a script. He goes, "Just pick a role." I said, "What are you talking about?" He's going, "I just loved you so much on First Hills, we're doing Second Hills, and just pick a role." I said, "Okay." So I grabbed the script and went home, and then and then there was like some stuff that was kind of going on that was kind of got quiet, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, Marianne called me and she goes, "Hey, so we want you for the second one." Oh, I said, "Great, because there's this one role." She goes, No, we don't. We don't want you for that one. We want you for the big bad guy, the head of that, and then the head guy. His name's Papa Hades, and then I go, okay. So that's what I played. So I was pretty lean during the first one, so I got a little bigger for the second one, and and that's what I played. So
your career is just you get a little bite, and then you get a bigger bite,
well, that's how Charm started. So Greg Nicotero from Hills Have Eyes, producer, makeup effects, one of the head guys at KMB. So really great. Anyway, sorry, Greg, for forgetting your name. I just saw him a couple weekends ago. So it just kind of happens that way. It's the same thing with Charmed. So Charmed, I was doing a guest star on it, playing a Grimlock. On the episode was called All Hallowell's Eve, the Halloween episode. And throughout the episode, I had everybody come up to me and say, "Hey, you're doing a great job." I said, "Oh, thanks." And you get that, sometimes, and you just like, okay, you don't let it go to your head, just keep working. But the AD come up to me and said, "Hey, the director was talking and said you're like one of the best actors he's worked with in the last 4 years." I'm like, "What the hell's he been working on?" Because, "Really, you think I'm the best actor?" He said, "Yeah." And then I got done with filming my the episode, and I die at the end of This Is a Grimlock, and I get back to my trailer, and my manager called me and she goes, "Hey, they want you back, and it's for another role called Belthazor." Like, okay, and this one's a recurring character, so that's what I took over. I did that role for like basically 2 years, and then in that I became the demon du jour. So like when they needed another kind of demon, I did it, and one time I showed up and they wanted me to play Shax. So when I got the character for Shax, he was the demon of wind and tornadoes. So he's got to be different than Belthazor. So I made him really flowy and kind of like he has a mixture of Tai Chi, and he speaks like Jim Morrison from The Doors. And that's kind of the character I come up with him. And so that show, I ended up killing off Prue. No one knew that when we killed her off the show that was going to be her last episode, but that's kind of what happened. But like you said, same thing happened. I do one role, they like what I did, and then they have me back. Same thing with a TV show called 7 Days, or My Name is Earl, or there's a few other shows. Nash Bridges. Again, if you work to do good work, good things will happen, right? And that's what you do. And plus, when you're 6'4" and you look like me, kind of scary. I look good I look better on film than I do in person. So which is a good thing for an actor.
Yeah, and this is why I've mentioned it so many times. You played 4 named and, like, at this point, iconic demons on the show.
Yeah.
And, between my wife and I think we've watched the show. She's watching the show again currently because nothing else she wants to watch at the moment, so she's rewatching Charmed. And if I wasn't looking at your credit list, I wouldn't know that the Grimlock, Belthazor, Shax, and the Source were all played by you.
Yeah, and then
that's
I
insane.
Was the faceless Source. Yeah.
Because I mean, it's these aren't just here's a background demon full. We're not talking just like full makeup. Yes, full makeup, but like super prosthetic. You can't see the face.
Yeah.
This is still your face.
Yeah.
With Shax, did you have like a chin prosthetic on, or is it just the way the picture's laid out? Because it looked like your chin was different in that one.
Let me see. There's for Belthazor. There's a ear piece, and there's a forehead piece. Let me see. Oh wait, there. No, that's all me. There. Yeah, I'm looking at pictures from Shax now. Let me see. Read more. Yeah, I think that's all me. The Belthazor though that has stuff all over it. Teeth, ears, and a forehead piece.
So, of the 4 of them, Belthazor is probably the longest in the makeup chair?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And then, was that just, like, head, neck, and hands?
For Belthazor, yeah, except for the times when I had to...
Be shirtless?
Shirtless with Alyssa, which is not always a bad thing, so... So, yeah.
Hell of a career.
Thank you, sir.
I know you said you've stepped away from acting and you're writing now and all that, but if you were to get back into acting and could pick any role, what would it be?
Oh, I tell you right now, I would want to be the main bad guy in a James Bond movie. I would love that. That's what I would be.
Oh, I could definitely see you as the main Bond villain.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. That would be me. So that'd be cool. That would be cool. Definitely for sure. Yeah, that'd be good. But I never got a chance to read for anything. There's a few roles that there were big movies that I came close to getting, but either I was too big or something happened. It just like Avatar came close to getting that. They went with someone that was smaller. Good actor though. I forgot this guy's name, but good actor. And then what else? Scorpion King with The Rock's first movie. That one I lost out because of the politics. So I actually get residuals from that movie, and I'm now not even in it. That's how close I am to getting it.
Wow.
Yeah. So what happened? I basically got the role, and then Schwarzenegger made a call to somebody, and then they put Ralph Mueller in it instead. So
what role?
It was the role for I don't know the name of the character. I forgot a long time ago, but yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. I know that's Hollywood, man. That's what happens sometimes. So
well, that's probably the easiest residual check you've ever gotten.
Yeah. It's not very. It's like a couple cents, maybe a couple dollars.
Well,
but it all adds up.
In the course of your career, what's the which character has the longest time in the makeup chair?
Oh, I don't know. Belthazor was probably pretty long. The Hills of Ice, it's always long at the beginning. The first time you do it, it's always long, like probably 3.5, sometimes 4 hours. But then as you get going, it gets shorter. And the same thing with taking it off. It might take like 3 or 4 hours to put on. It takes about an hour and a half to take off. So, and the thing is, when you do it enough times, like Charmed, I did it for about 2 years. What happens is that you go home, and then your sheets start turning red, and clothes start turning red, and everything else, right? So Belthazor stuff. Yeah. So
The one thing I always thought was highly amusing was the the parallel between you and Julie McMahon. Yeah, in Charmed, you're playing his his other half.
Yeah,
and in the course of your careers, you've both been in a Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah. He played. What do you call it?
Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom.
Yep.
Yeah. I played Ben Grimm.
So that was always fun. It's like, wow, that's you guys were meant to be halves.
Yeah, he's a good dude. So I did a play in L.A. Called Doing Judy, and it was about these Judy Garland impersonators, and they were all getting killed. And I played this gay leather cop. Or I played a gay cop who was into leather, and at the end I had to come out and drag because I screw up so much, and it was pretty funny. And he came to the play one night, him and a couple of his buddies. He's like, I can't believe Belthazor is in drag. And I said, yep.
The Mighty Belthazor in drag.
Yeah. Pretty fun.
So before we wrap this up, did you want to talk about your screenplay that just got optioned, or you just want to let that simmer until it...
No, we can. So it's called My Good Boy. It's not a horror film. It's a more action drama. And it parallels a little bit of my own life. I grew up being picked on and beat up when I was a kid in high school, being tall and skinny. That's kind of what happened. And I was shy. And so I always got picked on and stuff like that. And I always had to find new ways of the bus and stuff like that. And so, but I always wanted to play sports. So I used sports to earn my respect. So I kind of took that premise and, a guy who, uses that to get back, gains fame, respect in college. Then in an instant, a rival takes out his knee and he loses everything. And I thought of this because you see all these movies about, some athlete who overcomes all these odds to win the Super Bowl or a World Series, or maybe some horse that wins, the what do you call it, the Derby, things like that. But you never hear about the guy who was this great athlete and lost everything. And what do they do? And for most athletes, and they don't talk about it, most athletes go through a bit of depression. Because you were once the big man on campus, right? And you were revered and, all those things. Then all of a sudden it's gone in an instant. I can see if it's gradually fades away, but when it's gone in an instant, it's like you're left with nothing. You go back to college and everybody's, oh, what happened to you? Oh, you weren't good enough. The girls that used to talk to you, don't want to talk to you anymore. Just everything. You're lost. You don't know what to do. And if you haven't got your degree yet, you're really lost. You're trying to figure out your life and what's my next step. I've spent all this time and these years focused on becoming a great athlete and getting all this notoriety. Now you just become nobody, and so that's my story. And for me, that and being from Michigan and being close to Detroit, that led to me getting caught up with some, doing some bad things and stupid things and got caught up with some bad dudes and all that, dude, where I got, I've been stabbed, shot at, guns in my face, people that wanted to kill me, just, craziness for good, probably 2 years, 3 years. And then I got out of it and made my way to California. So, this story is kind of like that about this guy named David Adams who goes through that the same journey. And of course I fictionalized it and make it a lot more fantastic and exciting than it really was, but it's that story. So yeah.
Awesome. Look forward to watching it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be good. So that's it. It's called My Good Boy, because that's my mom used to say that to me all the time. You'll be always my good boy. You'll always be my good boy. So called My Good Boy.
Where can fans keep up with you and watch for information on My Good Boy on social media? Yeah, just on Facebook. I do Instagram
and X, on, I should do more. I don't really have any followers on either because I don't really promote it. Facebook, I'm pretty much loaded, but that's right. I'll post stories and things like that about my life and stuff like that. I have some interesting stories that I've written, about different things. It's pretty interesting sometimes. I write about like just things that I've experienced. Like one time, my older son, my older son was an Army Ranger, and in special operations. He got out, and then he played college football, and now he's back in on a different path. But yeah, we were driving, me and my new wife, Paige, were driving back from one games, and we almost got blindsided by this car in the early part of the morning. Just come out of nowhere, this big black SUV, and it really shook us because if I would have been driving a little bit faster, or that car had been driving a little slower, we'd have been dead. And you just wonder how things like that happen, and so how life can be taken in an instant. So.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
everything, they say everything happens for a reason. And it's crazy how timing, that split second timing can work out.
Yes, sir. Good. Well, good, man. It's good talking to you.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll put the links to your social medias in the episode description. And listeners, you can find me and other great podcasters over at electronicmediacollective.com. Or if you just want to follow me, head over to Moose Media Inc. on YouTube or Moose's Monster Mash on Facebook. Michael, this has been phenomenal. And
thank you, sir. It's good talking to you as well.
Like I said, your career has been outstanding, and you say blessed, I say charmed.
There you go.
And
I agree.
Listeners, welcome to season 6 of Moose's Monster Mash. Michael, thank you for coming on, and hope we can do this again sometime, because it seems like you have stories for days.
I do.
So,
well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You're more than welcome. And till next time, Horror Hounds, mash on.
This has been Moose's Monster Mash. Come back for more chills and thrills if you dare.